I think when you do that, you are opening yourself up to the other one. That's really what it is, and it's disguised as that you're trying to, you're going to be it goes right along with the guardian angels thing to me. You think that you're communicating with the angels in heaven, when in actuality you're getting in contact with the fallen angels. They're angels, but they are not angelic beings. They are demonic beings. They're the fallen angels. And those boards and all that other stuff and hotlines, and it's another trap, basically. So it says, Jesus himself emphasized the significance of prayer in Matthew 7 and 8, saying, "Ask and it shall be given you, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you." So you know what makes prayer even more potent? Fasting. When we combine prayer with fasting, it's like turbocharging our spiritual connection with God. And we already know that Jesus, right off the cuff, he fasted. He went up into high places to pray, to meditate, and to communicate with God. He didn't need all of these, what I just said. I mean, it's like kind of ludicrous in a way if he had like a board, or he had to dial a phone number and all that, and it's his Father. So on top of that, it's him in a physical form, but that is, he is a spiritual being, a very high spiritual being. He is God's Son. So if it's good enough for God's Son, it's good enough for me. So fasting, okay, is an act of surrendering our physical needs to focus more on seeking God's presence and will. And it's a way of saying, God, I want you more than anything else. Now, when we look at Matthew 17:21, Jesus tells his disciples that certain spiritual strongholds can only be broken through prayer and fasting. These strongholds might be like stubborn obstacles, okay, that hinder our spiritual growth or create bondage in our lives. But fear not. With prayer and fasting, we actually tap into God's power to demolish those strongholds and experience freedom and victory in Christ. So you have to fight, so to speak, spiritual with spiritual, not physical and spiritual. Physical with physical, spiritual with spiritual. Then on, I believe they go further into a conclusion and, parting thoughts and things to remember. It says, strengthening your spiritual foundation is like building a solid fortress that can withstand any storm. It's about cultivating a deep and intimate relationship with God and nurturing it with love and devotion. Just like any relationship, spending quality time with God through prayer, worship, and meditation on his word is essential. And when we look at Psalm 63:1, it says, "O God, thou art my God, early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is." So like a thirsty soul seeking water, let's eagerly seek God's presence and nurture that connection. So it only makes sense, even in your own relationships with your children, your spouse, your sisters and brothers, your siblings, your parents or grandparents, aunts and uncles, and other, friendships with other imperfect human beings. You work at it, you communicate, you find things that you have in common, and so forth and so on. So it only makes sense in that way that you would spend time with God and vice versa, and cultivate and build up a foundation of mutual love and trust and communication. So it says maintaining spiritual cleanliness is crucial. So actually it mentions what I'm about to say about what we talked about, although in some parts I did kind of I did an episode, I did talk about the two people on the radio, on a podcast, another podcast some time ago, that were talking about washcloths and basically hygiene, physical hygiene. But I also, in that episode, probably in the last segment of that, I talked about what is the Bible. Oh, no. I talked about what the Bible said first, and then I talked about them last. That's what I did. What did the Bible say about physical hygiene? And it says here, just as we care for our physical hygiene, we must also cleanse our hearts and minds from negativity, sin, and ungodly influences. So even though physical hygiene seems like it's detached from anything necessarily spiritual, it actually isn't. It's an extension of sorts, okay? And that it is talked about, as I just said, in the Bible, okay? So 2 Corinthians 7:1 reminds us to cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh, that's the body, physical cleanliness, and spirit, okay? Spiritual cleanliness, okay, is next. Cleanliness is close to what? Godliness. Physically, our hygiene, our homes, our bodies, our clothes, and our spirit, okay? Perfecting holiness in the fear of God. So by regularly examining our thoughts and our actions and seeking God's forgiveness, which will require self-reflection, okay? I know a lot of people, maybe too many people, that tend to look outwardly at others, but it's very difficult, and I get it, to look to self-reflection, but it starts with self. So before you look outwardly at other people, you must look inwardly. What am I doing? Okay, how can I improve myself? So it says we keep our spiritual foundation. That's the bottom line. We keep our spiritual foundation pure and strong, okay? And we seek God's forgiveness when we've made errors. You were just listening to Teachable Moments with April podcast. I truly hope you enjoyed this episode.